Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So I think it's always useful to cover a growing and persistent topic when it is relevant. And this is something we have routinely done on this channel and we will do once again today because there is a growing and persistent problem on spaces like Twitter and TikTok that I think needs to be addressed once again. And that topic is, of course, the normalization of hostility and racism directed towards Japan, its citizens, and its culture as well. This is something that is not only normalized on places like Twitter and TikTok, it is actually praised to levels that are getting very, very concerning because some of the examples we're going to look at in this video are actually hard to believe. It's actually hard to believe people would post such vile things about Japan, its people, or its culture. It's absolutely wild, and this is something that is easy clout and way too accepted on social media. But before we get into those examples, let's do a little palate cleanse and talk to today's sponsor. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Giga Chads at HelloFresh have returned to sponsor this video. Click the link in the description or use my code and get free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. Now, what is HelloFresh? It's America's #1 meal kit delivery service that with a few simple inputs will send a beautifully wrapped box to your doorstep containing all the ingredients and instructions you will need to make a high-quality, home-cooked meal. Look, you guys are busy. You have anime girls to look at, dockies to snuggle, and so on and so forth. You don't have time to go to the grocery store. The answer to that dilemma is the convenience HelloFresh offers, providing you with all of the high-quality ingredients you need to make a perfect home-cooked meal. I love HelloFresh because they offer not only delicious meals, but also high-protein and diet-conscious meal options for people like me who want to maximize their gains at the gym. Make sure to go to my link in the pinned comment or description to receive one free breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now let's jump back into the content. Welcome back. So we're going to start with this TikTok right here. A lot of people on Twitter are talking about it. Now, it's no mystery that a lot of people go to places like Twitter to complain about Japan and things that come out of Japan. And they do that because not only is it clout, it's also very easy, right? It's easy to sit in your chair and type away on Twitter and complain about Japan, right? But it's another thing to get on a plane and travel to Japan just to complain about it. Okay, and that's exactly what has happened in a series of TikToks uploaded by a user going around and shaming many Japanese businesses and people, all in the name of TikTok clout. Yeah, that's embarrassing. But let's have a quick look at a sample of one of these videos that this person has uploaded onto TikTok.
I just watched two guys pump $30 into a goddamn machine to win a waifu. I don't really know what to think about that one. I feel like I'm gonna go to jail for filming this wall. What the f*** is this advertising? That is fucking weird. Some of these stores have a really weird underage vibe that, I don't know, man. There's some weird shit going on in this neighborhood.
So that clip was very similar to other videos uploaded by this user where they're going around and into stores with the sole purpose of shaming these businesses on TikTok for attention. Now, you might have noticed that this person has taken a page out of Hannah Montgomery's playbook. If you don't remember her, she is the director of the infamous Vice News hit piece on the manga industry. Just like her, this TikToker is not only filming these businesses from the outside, they're filming inside of these businesses just to shame them for clout on TikTok. What they're doing is breaking the law when they film inside of these stores without the owner's permission, and that is something we have seen called out in the case of the Vice News documentary. But yes, that's just a taste of what we're getting into today. Here is another person who is very familiar with some of those tactics, and that is Johnny Somali. We have not talked about Johnny Somali in a few months, and I think it's time to rehash this because one of his friends has a communication from Johnny Somali. He is now saying that he regrets going to Japan and has been locked up behind bars for 3 months now in prison. Now, this is, well, deserved because Johnny Somali is known as a nuisance streamer in Japan. One of many people who went to Japan with the sole intent of harassing and annoying Japanese citizens for the sake of clout for their kick streams. And unfortunately, Johnny would break a lot of laws. One that he has been officially charged for is now sitting in prison as he awaits his eventual sentence that could be for multiple years. Johnny's small stint of getting away with harassing people for kick content, it might cost him years of his freedom, or at least a likely deportation if he is found guilty. And by the way, also, their conviction rate is over 99% once someone is charged. So it's not looking good for Johnny Somali. But a lot of people have been pointing out the really telling parts of this statement. So Johnny Somali regrets going to Japan, but he doesn't regret any of the crimes and harassment he committed and the reasons as to why he is currently facing prison time. This says everything you need to know about Johnny Somali, and it's not surprising, and he's really getting his just desserts at this point. Like, this is exactly what he wanted, and he got the attention, and he's now paying for it. But moving on, a lot of other people have exploited things coming out of Japan for very strange reasons as well. Now, we're not going to get into this whole conversation down here. It's a complicated one, and we don't need to get into the fine details of it to understand the absurdity of posts like this responding to it. Now, let me make this also clear. This conversation is about transgender people and how they're treated in Japan. Now, you can have a disagreement and criticisms of these things being said down here, right? You can do that without doing this and going completely off the rails. So let me explain the context of what we're looking at here. This individual is the one who is responsible for assassinating the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Now, they are essentially evangelizing this murderer as a sort of transgender icon, which is a very interesting choice. Like I said, this guy is a murderer and someone who is clearly very unwell. And what they're trying to do here, you have to understand how Western Twitter responded to the assassination of Shinzo Abe. Back when it happened, this was stuff that we covered on this channel. Western Twitter was celebrating his assassination. They were saying things like he deserved it because he was a Nazi. They believed he was a literal Nazi, which is in no way true. And if you ask them why they thought he was, they couldn't give you an answer and would likely say something about anime. Okay, it was very strange. And as a lot of people pointed out, they completely misrepresented what the assassin was believing in and what Shinzo Abe stood for, and are for some reason evangelizing this individual. And we saw other posts like this getting thousands of likes, showing off the weapon, the homemade weapon that the assassin used on Shinzo Abe. And they put a trans flag around it and captioned this tweet: "This means the contraption is indirectly responsible for keeping turf stuff out of Japan." As users like this have pointed out in this quote, the turf stuff out of Japan, the shooter was a mentally unstable loner with ties to a cult. You really sure you want to claim him? It's very, very strange how they have evangelized this individual. It's embarrassing. And like I said, you can disagree with some of those things that are being proposed in Japan without going to these lengths and making this a ridiculous conversation. And there's no middle ground with anyone involved in this. And it's very strange to me. But moving on, we know that the weird treatment of things coming out of Japan isn't just limited to people. It's also included with the treatment of anime and other fictional content. So there was a conversation here about the recent and short-lived updates to Twitch's TOS involving sexual content. And they're showing the front page and has a bunch of nudity and things like that I'm censoring out. And they accuse this user of being a groomer for supporting that, but this person tries to reverse Uno and do a "your likes are public" moment, and it doesn't go very well. So they say that this person calling them this can't do it because they liked an image of an anime girl with the face of a 9-year-old. Now, I'll make this very easy. Two basic questions. Number one, if you saw this picture of this anime girl held up next to a picture of a real human being, would you be confused as to which one's real and which one's not real? And second, no, you're not some sort of a coomer for making this observation. When you look at this picture, what is one of the most prominent features on display? No, it's not her face, okay? We can admit there's some hunkabalunkas on the screen, okay? And that is not something you typically associate with children, by the way. And it's very weird to think of children when you see an anime character, a large-breasted anime character like this. It seems like projection, but people would question, saying the face of a 9-year-old feels pretty bad faith here, where they responded saying, you're right. Honestly, she looks 6, maybe 7. Yeah, does this look like a 6 to 7-year-old real-life human being to you? Do 6 to 7-year-olds have elf ears and giant eyes with eyeliner and all of this? Is that what you're thinking of? Very strange stuff. But reminded me of another argument that someone pointed out to me and we're going to cover, because there was another argument about some fan service in anime and people wanting censorship because, God forbid, they could just, watch something else that doesn't have fan service. But they're complaining about busty women. They're complaining about lolly, as this user points out. There's literally nothing that doesn't offend these people, where they replied saying, they look like sexualized children. How am I not supposed to complain? Just make them taller. That's all that I or anyone who shares my views wants. Just make them taller. Well, as the user would point out here, this is the anime that they're talking about. This is the things that they believe are literal children, and they want it censored. Don't worry, they're still going to consume what they believe or are claiming are sexualized children. They just want it censored. That's how weird and inconsistent their beliefs are. But moving forward, I want to talk about another thing, and that's localizations. We talk a lot about localizations on this channel, and it's unfortunate to see that this trend of butchering and vandalizing original Japanese products is getting more and more popular. And it's even worse to see it to happen to Fate Grand Order, because if you guys know some ancient Rev lore, I was a fan of Fate Grand Order for some time. It's, to me, easily the most played gacha game I've ever participated in. I played it the most for many years. I enjoyed Fate Grand Order, but now there's a lot of people pointing out blatant mistranslations in the Western localization, like this one with the character Spartacus saying, this may be the first time the oppressed will actually get to eat the rich. That was not what they said. The message is completely changed. But once again, another piece of Japanese media being butchered by localizers who think they know better than the original Japanese creators who made the original dialogue. But yes, that is also along the lines of, speaking of Fate Grand Order, fan service is something that is routinely attacked, okay? And I originally was going to react to portions of this video. A lot of people have been tagging me in tweets about this video, wanting me to go over it. I was going to do it in this video, but I think it would just drag it out too much, so I'm going to save that for a later date. Just know that this is definitely something we're going to cover very soon, and it really captures a lot of the hysteria that surrounds fan service in anime when it comes to Western audiences consuming that stuff. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I know there was a lot of very wild and controversial topics in this video, so I appreciate the listen, and feel free to share all of your thoughts about them in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.